what Ventive is it is a complete business management system. I refer to it as the only complete RevOps platform on the market because it has a full complement of marketing, sales, customer support and success, and operations tools.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Book More Show. It's Stuart Bell here, and today joined by Lydia Sugarman. Lydia, how are you doing?
Doing really well. I'm in air conditioning, so I'm happy about that.
We're both up in the Northeast, right? I'm Pennsylvania. You're
New York,
New
actually,
York. Yeah.
Near Pennsylvania, 40 miles outside of the city in Hudson Valley in a little town called Warwick.
Ah, beautiful.
And
Nice.
yeah, it is, but it's quite warm and humid. So
We're not used to it. I haven't been to Warwick up there, but I've been to Warwick in the UK, and that's definitely not as hot and humid as it feels here today. This is going to be an interesting show because it was the service that you offer is very, very different from anything that we've talked about here before. So I'm excited to share the idea with people. We were talking about this idea of starting conversations with people and understanding the opportunities to engage with them. But Lead Sherlock, from the tools that you run, is quite an interesting approach to understanding who visits your site. So why don't we dive in and talk a little bit about what brought you to this particular part of the market, and then we can talk about the tool and how it kind of could impact the authors that we're working with.
yeah, well, my primary business is Ventive, VENNTIVE.com, and it's a complete business platform with marketing and sales and customer success and support and operations tools all in one. But when I saw this technology that is Lead Sherlock, I was like, oh, this is a missing piece.
Right.
Um, because it's one thing to have all the tools to build and manage a database of contacts. But where do you get those contacts?
Right.
Uh, and and so what Lead Sherlock does is identify anonymous visitors to your website, and it has about a 25 to 30% success rate of identifying those individuals and actually providing the name and contact information, demographic and psychographic data, the pages they visited on your website, and how long they spent. So it's a treasure trove of information. And considering that research shows about 95% of visitors to your website are anonymous, suddenly knowing who 30 of those are is a game changer.
Yeah. And this idea of understanding who they are, I mean, not it might be a little bit on the nose if you then email them and say, hey, I saw you were just looking at the website. That's maybe a little bit on the crosses that line of creepy. But when you think about a LinkedIn outreach campaign, or if you have some marketing activity that you're particularly trying to target a group of people, and then you start seeing that feedback from that group that you're targeting, the insights that it gives you, it really adds so much color to what otherwise would be a bit of a kind of send it out and hope, a finger in the air type.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I, and I think particularly B2B, it's not it, I think the creepiness, the creep factor kind of goes away. I mean,
Right.
we all know already that we're being tracked. And consumers consumers might be a little freaked out if if they all of a sudden get a phone call from somebody. But I think even that's becoming less and less so. They're used, you're getting accustomed to being tracked online, you look at something on Amazon and all of a sudden you go to another website that's
Right.
completely unrelated, and
Start seeing the
there's
same
an
things.
ad for the thing that you were just looking at on Amazon. So
My
this
wife will occasionally ask me if I've been looking at things because all of a sudden she'll get a random feed full of stuff. So it's kind of it can trip you up sometimes. Knowing we were
Yeah,
buying
you gotta,
secret gifts for people.
you need to be, yes, you probably, if you share, you probably should be careful about what you're looking at, or at least, open up an anonymous window in Chrome.
Right. Right. I like this idea. I mean, you mentioned there that in a B2B world, people are more and more used to the fact that there's some connection which leads to sales calls coming through at some point. So certainly if you're getting the insights that people are visiting and you're seeing the information they're sending through, given that most of us and most of the people that are listening to this who are on our list are B2B in the sense of dealing with a smaller number of individuals, or maybe even B2C, but a smaller number of individuals. We're not people who are thinking about writing a book. It's not typically the people who are serving that mass market of commodity type business.
Mhm.
So the idea that you can reach out to people with the book is a lead generation tool with specific calls to actions there that will lead people back, and then having those insights. Do you see people using it in that orchestrated a way, or are people more using it for kind of like the demographic, psychographic side of things and at scale, kind of getting an inference of what's going on? Or is it more very specific, kind of one-on-one interaction with people?
It's very specific, but what's really, I mean, that's it. I mean, it is, I call it inbound 2.0, uh,
Right.
because inbound marketing and following up from leads from people that submit a form, that's been something we've been doing for years. This takes it a step further. Um, what's really and there've been a lot of interesting conversations I've had. I had one company, actually they set appointments. They are lead gen uh business appointment setters for B2B companies. And they did the trial, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to move ahead with this." I was like, "Why not? What can you tell me about your hesitation?" Well, we're seeing a lot of .edu emails of people.
Right.
And I'm like, "Well, why do you think that might be?"
Right.
And it completely it couldn't be further away from the kind of business that they do. And yet kind of they were it was almost blaming the actual results for
Right. Shooting the messenger.
yeah, shooting the messenger. Exactly. And I was like, well, obviously you need to work on your SEO.
Yeah.
The the moral of the story is that you might not be you can learn a lot from the people that are visiting your website, and they may not be who you're expecting, and that is an indication, that's a red flag that you need to fix your website, you need to
Change
fix your
something.
messaging.
Right.
uh, or another one, well, we already know all of these people. Okay. Are they customers? Yes. What pages are they visiting? Why do you think they're visiting those pages? Are there contracts coming up for renewal soon?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's actually such an interesting insight because that initial response of people saying that, oh, this isn't useful without actually thinking about what the data is. It's kind of almost trying to fix a problem and then seeing whether the data fits the hole rather than saying, okay, here's the data and what hole have we got that needs to be plugged or fixed.
it's like there is no such thing as not useful data from
Right.
this. you may not be getting what you want, what you thought you wanted, but you're getting data, you're getting information that's going to help you be successful one way or another. And then best case scenario, it's what if it's people from companies in your target list, your target prospect list? Uh, you you know exactly who they are. It's
Right.
the it so many of our competitors, most of the competitors will say, "Oh, we'll tell you what companies are visiting your website." Well, BFD, that doesn't tell.
It doesn't necessarily help you get to the person. That narrows it down
Ex-
to a large mailing list, but
if you're going after enterprise, if your prospects are enterprise companies, say, somebody from Apple was on your website and it could be, and they give you a list and you start playing whack-a-mole and
right,
it's useless. The other thing, I mean, I've been doing sales forever. I mean, I've been doing sales from the time when you start a new job and the training was there's your desk, there's the phone book. Or if you were lucky, you got a computer printout of a zip code
right,
of people
to
to
work down.
call and to work. And now it's like I've had people say, well, yeah, it didn't work out well. I was like, well, how did you follow up? Well, we sent an email. I was like, I'm
That's
a
the
huge, I'm a huge fan of email, but we all know with inbound marketing, from the moment somebody submits a form, the moment somebody is on a page, your chance of converting that lead goes down precipitously every minute you
right,
delay contacting them. It's pick up the phone and say, "Hey, hi, this is this Stuart? Yes. Well, this is Lydia Sugarman from Ventive, and you were just on our website and you visited these pages, and I just wanted to, have a conversation and find out what attracted you to the website and what are you thinking these days?"
right. You can imagine a scenario where you have that list of the clients that you want to really target and an alert set up so that either physically, electronically or manually, but alerted when those clients do something. For the book clients who have written books, overnighting a copy of a book to that prospect with a handwritten note, anything to get past to start the conversation and get past the gatekeeper and just differentiate yourself from the information
Right.
that's out there, particularly with knowing what web pages they visited as well. So to be able to tailor that message to the thing that they were really interested in or looking for. Such a, like you say, there's no such thing as bad data. And if people take that little extra step to analyze it and think what the lessons are that come from it, much more than just, oh, we had a list of people, we sent them an email, and then nothing happened. Well, there's more opportunities than that.
Yeah, yeah. I call these website qualified leads. Uh, you, again, we're talking about lead generation, and it's fine and dandy for, an outsourced company or call center or whatever to to set meetings with quote unquote prospects, but the conversion rate we know is really, really poor because
Right,
they've been cold called. They've agreed for whatever reason they've agreed to a meeting. It doesn't mean not only does it mean it's not necessarily they're going to buy, it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to show up for the meeting, even
right.
even if you reconfirm. But when you have all of this information about somebody that was actually on your website.
Yeah. Yeah, that marrying up of intent, particularly to say when so much of the data out there in the world that used to be available has been anonymized out anyway. So when you
Hmm.
think about the information you get in Google Analytics now, it's very little compared with before. The targeting that you can do in Facebook, and still better than some of the other areas, but it's so narrow compared with other
Oh,
areas, particularly for restricted industries like real estate agents and housing or medical, anything like that, where it's there's more legislation or regulation around being able to reach out. So to have those indications from people.
hmm.
Um, Tell me about how it ties in with Ventive then, because Ventive is pretty interesting as well because of the breadth of the suite of tools that it
Right.
of opportunities that it covers.
Well, and the connection between Lead Sherlock and Ventive, among many other features, Ventive includes web and conversion tracking, and it will it's you drop a snippet of code in your website, and it tracks all the visitors to your website. And it will, when somebody that's in your Ventive database is visits your website, it will tell you who that that person
That's interesting.
visited these pages. But again, the vast majority of the traffic is going to be anonymous. And we can say, 300 people visited these pages today on your uh, of your website, and here are the 10 people that are in your database. Or actually, when you're logged into your Ventive instance, there's a scroll across the top of the screen that says someone from New York City has visited this page.
Right,
It says someone.
right,
If it's in, or otherwise, it might say Stuart Bell just visited these pages.
right.
And
Okay,
we capture all of that. So Lead Sherlock was a natural complement to Ventive.
right.
What Ventive is it is a complete business management system. I refer to it as the only complete RevOps platform on the market because it has a full complement of marketing, sales, customer support and success, and operations tools, all deeply integrated in one platform, one seamless user interface, one a single source of truth for all of the data across your entire company. And it is extreme. It's eminently customizable. So we don't focus on any particular business vertical. And we have, everything from arts organizations and nonprofits to software companies to manufacturing companies, real estate, cities. Actually, Phoenix, Arizona uses Ventive. A lot of people think that Ventive isn't enterprise, but it is. Uh,
Right.
but it's priced for the little guy. We believe in leveling the playing field. So the pricing is based on the size of your database and the number of seats, um, and every account includes every feature. So,
That's particularly when you compare it with the competition, that ability to include all of the features, even at the smallest number of contacts and
oh
the
yeah,
smallest number of seats, it just makes it much more accessible to people.
imagine
What's
getting, okay, I imagine getting HubSpot Enterprise for $150 a month.
right, right. And those very real comparisons, I mean, is it things like HubSpot and Keep, are they the competitors that people might be familiar with?
Salesforce,
So yeah,
Marketo, um, Active
all of
Campaign.
which are relatively complicated tools as well. It's not
They
people don't call
are
Confusionsoft for no reason.
true, true. Well, it's that's why when Infusionsoft was bought by a private equity firm, they changed the name to Keep, and they offered no explanation about the name change, because they wanted to separate themselves from that reputation. Uh,
Yeah,
it they when they started out 20 years ago, they were good. They were very pricey. but they didn't keep up with the times. Just like Salesforce. I mean, Salesforce is a 25-year-old CRM application that requires a lot of other applications, and to be a complete solution, as well as any customization has to be hard coded.
Yeah,
With Ventive, if you want to add a user field, you go to the user field page and you fill in the fields and you hit save and you have a new user field.
right. Which means that personalization across your particular use case is so kind of detailed. The ability to take those fields and add them into a campaign to make sure that the message is as tailored as possible. I
Yeah.
always think that I received a letter the other day. Where was it from? It was from somewhere, terrible example because I can't remember the details, but it was from somewhere that should know better. I remember thinking that at least. And on the envelope, it was addressed personally to me, but the letter on the inside was dear member or dear user or something that was so unpersonalized. And that's on a field that was obviously built into their database, just the name
Right.
field. So when you think about the use case of being able to take it in and blending the two things together, maybe the lead Sherlock information is gathering the data of the people it can find, but knowing what they're interested in. So to be able to customize your database and add those fields in, so you're
Hmm.
delivering the message with an interest variable instead of just a general broadcast. This
Right.
idea of conversation starting, of imagining that you were able to see these people in the line at Starbucks or the supermarket or wherever, but add those extra steps. Do you see most people doing that level of customization, or is it more it takes them a little
I
while to get to that level of thinking?
it I think it takes a little while, and everybody wants things to be fast. It's like choose 2 out of 3, quick, easy, or
Right,
fast, easy, or cheap. I mean, and it's that's not a good analogy here, but it's like, there is work involved up front. And even if you've been sending emails forever, a lot of time we forget to send test emails to ourselves,
right, yeah.
and that's when that's when it hits the fan.
Right. Yeah, it is. You kind of once it's people think if it's not broken, don't fix it, but then sometimes they don't realize when it does break. So that kind of we've been doing the same thing for years without necessarily checking or revalidating the use case for or the job of work.
Well,
I
and
think
and not and not every database is complete. Not every database is necessarily going to have a first name, or it should, but it doesn't, or whatever. And a lot of applications don't offer an option to have a generic alternative in
right.
case uh, that piece of data is missing.
Yeah,
We've had that forever. This platform actually started in 2001 as an email marketing application, and it's grown from there. And, at the end of the day, it's all about database management. Uh,
right. Yeah. There's no silver bullet, just a quality issue of making sure that the information is what you think it is and is kept up to
ex-
date.
exactly. So, like, for example, if you're setting up a group in Ventive, which is it's more than just a list. A group actually can function as a separate account, almost
Okay.
with unique characteristics. And you're setting up a group, and one of the fields is what what do you want to call people if you don't have their name?
Okay. Yeah. And
And
that gives a good opportunity to, I mean, it's not going to be universally applicable, but it's a good opportunity to have some, particularly if you have any kind of community, to name your community members. Um, I'm trying to think
exact
of an example of where I was, where I saw it. Oh, I'm blanking again. It must be the
like
temperature. I'm blanking again.
Lady Gaga's community are little monsters.
Okay, yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example. But it gives a good opportunity to have some fun with it. And again, it's keeping this engagement going and imagining that you were speaking to a real person. It's just you using some amount of scale to get the message out.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Uh,
idea of connecting all these pieces together, I always often think that there's what's the opposite of the Tom Collins approach? The don't let perfection be the killer of goodness, or whatever the actual saying
oh,
is. Um,
well, good enough is good enough.
right, yeah, yeah, that's a great point. So this idea of people getting caught up, knowing, can kind of see what the perfection is they want, but aren't able to quite get there, either from a data quality issue or a time or a skill issue. How easy is it for people to get started and kind of have those minimum viable campaigns and connections set up? Is there a big list from kind of zero to something, or is it very gradual?
Are you well, with Lead Sherlock, we recommend that you have at least 1,000 unique visitors per month for it to really be of value. But
Yeah.
that's not a hard and fast rule, because you pay per WQL or website qualified lead, and you're only going to see them once. So if somebody is there many times, you're not going to pay more
Okay.
than once on that person. Um, and then, so there's that. Um, and I just lost my train of thought. And you
Um,
can, oh, with, oh, and you, and it- with that, you can specify pages that you want to be tracked. You can set a budget, either of
okay.
leads or a monetary budget. So you have control over
Right.
what that investment is with Lead Sherlock. And then Ventive,
Actually,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a super interesting way of doing it as well, and makes it much more accessible, because if you're in the if you have customer facing pages that you know you don't want to track because they're customers and you're just interested in the lead side, so narrowing it down to the area and then being able to say, hey, I'm happy to pay for 25 new website qualified
Right,
leads a month, it's much easier than or there's much less risk, rather than turning it on and it running away above and beyond what you
right,
can control, both from a monetary point of view and time based. If you want to kind of like double down on 25 people and that's the capacity that you've got, then at
right,
least you can ring fence it to that and then extend later as you get in more kind of
right.
learn to ride the bike first.
I mean, just getting started, we give you a trial, 14 days or 25 leads, whichever comes first.
Right.
Um, and and it may not be, and it may not be mind-boggling. It's like but you get an idea, you get a very good idea of how it works. And
Right.
then you can define your parameters and go from there.
Yeah.
And for B2B leads at $5 per website qualified lead, I mean, that's not your whole customer acquisition cost. But if you have a product that is, if you have a, yeah, if you're B2B, I mean, your product is sh- certainly going to support that as a portion of your CAC.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where there's a sweet spot with the audience listening here, because for the majority of us, it's like we say, the book isn't the product, the conversation is the product, because that leads to actually selling the product that you're selling. So the same as printing a book, it's probably $4 to $5 by the time you've shipped it to your house and then mailed it on to someone else. So that similar cost, that similar investment to know who the person is on one hand and
Hmm.
to be able to engage with them on the other hand. I think most of the most people listening are in the annual lifetime value of a client of well north of $1,000, and even at that price, it's very worthwhile
Oh,
and cost
absolutely.
effective way. Again, assuming that you're actually doing something with it afterwards, it's not a silver bullet where it's magically going to convert people. But to get that level of detail and that level of insight, I think you'd struggle to find it. Struggle
Right.
to find anything similar anywhere else.
And you can have that. you can have those leads served to you in a number of ways. It can be, downloaded to a CSV file. You can integrate with any one of 18 other applications plus Ventive using Zapier.
Oh,
Uh,
I mean,
you
that
know,
opens up the whole world.
you can have it, you can have it go into Google Sheet and have a zap between Google and whatever other
Yeah.
application you're using. Like, and if you, for example, excuse me, send it into Ventive group, your Lead Sherlock Ventive group, and have a workflow set up with that triggers a drip campaign and a follow and an alert to somebody to pick up the phone now.
Right. You
Um,
can imagine a scenario. I mean, Zapier just opens up the whole world. So, Lead
right.
Sherlock leads coming in to Zapier that triggers one of those cookie delivery services that sends
Hmm.
overnights the person a cookie the next day, and then someone phones them up and says, "Hey, I hope you enjoyed the treat and got a chance to sit back and consume some more of the content." It's it just opens up the Zapier. I mean, whether it's Zapier or Make, I guess, but that
I mean,
connectivity,
it's just all kinds of, you're only limited by your imagination.
right?
I
Yeah.
mean, the cookie idea is adorable. I hadn't thought of that,
And yeah,
especially if you can get it, especially if you can get it to them like the next morning.
right. And that speed of execution on things now being so much faster than the ability to do it so much faster than we could do in the past is such an
Mhm.
amplifier. And I think the benefit, particularly to the audience listening, because we're kind of self-selecting in a way of these people have raised their hand as being interested in a book and some of them are customers, but they've identified themselves as willing to take the extra step or do something different. So that speed to execution, the speed to market, the speed to the conversation, for those people who do kind of think about it just one step further than the push button solution and think about how things can stitch together,
Right.
such an advantage. We work with a number of realtors in a slightly different area of the business, but they'll often say that the Zillification of the world is a problem because Zillow's whole thing is, okay, click here and two agents will call you back, and whoever gets there first. There's a pressure that comes along with doing things immediately. And I think that is across the board. You were saying before about as someone fills in a form, their intent or their enthusiasm falls off
Oh
precipitously
God.
as the time
I
goes
was
on.
I was looking at changing car insurance recently, and I submitted one of those forms, and oh my God, it's just like a tsunami of
Right.
responses from, and it's coming at you in email and text messages and phone calls, and it's just too much. I don't,
Yeah. And unpersonalized, even with them having the data and knowing what you're looking at, it's still a lot of, we actually did the same a couple of weeks ago. It's still very generic and not,
Mhm.
and comes across as very salesy. And it's just it comes across, and again, it might be because we're insiders, but you get the feeling that it's just a numbers game and they're just churning through the biggest volume possible in the hope that the overall conversion
Well,
is
they
good
are,
enough.
and prospects, customers, future customers are just a commodity. And I think, this is a this is a problem that so many sales teams are experiencing, particularly in the software space where they have these teams of SDRs, and they're expected to make anywhere from 50 to 100 calls a day,
Right.
and or touches at least. It's just like such a numbers game, and there's only about 25% of companies that are hitting quota.
Right.
What's what's that about? It
Yeah.
People don't want to feel like commodities. The reality that there's only about 3% of the market that's really shopping at any given point in time for anything. Granted, we're going to be coming into third and fourth quarter, and things are going to speed up. I don't think there's going to, there'll be a little bit of a pause, a little bit of slowdown over the summer, but not a lot, I don't think. I
Yeah,
hope. Maybe that's wishful thinking. But there's still cold calls, and cold calls are just not fun. They
no,
they aren't,
no,
no matter how good you are. And the idea of inbound, Lead Sherlock's Inbound 2.0, calling a warm, a website qualified lead, game
yeah,
changer for
yeah.
everybody.
Like you say, for everyone, the clients included, to be able to receive a call that's tailored to the purpose that you were there, at least it's dialed in. I mean, there's always that kind of resistance sometimes with people taking any sales calls and being slightly switched off to it, but
Hmm.
they happen anyway. So if you've got the choice of making 25 calls a day to the printed off list that you were talking about before from the phone book
Right.
versus 25 leads who have actually at least visited the site and consumed some stuff for some reason. I mean, even more so if you tailor in the particular landing pages on the site. So again,
Right.
depending on volume, but if you're really interested in the pages that relate to things that are further down the funnel, things that are closer to a completion, again, it's just that level of insights. And it's why I really want to share this idea with people, because I haven't heard any other, I don't, I haven't heard any other service that has this level of detail. There's numbers and generic information, but to have the specific details of the person, it's yeah, it makes it all very powerful.
Indeed. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk
It's
about it. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, it's so exciting. We'll leave some links in the show notes so people can follow through directly. But I think anyone who is interested in having a conversation with you, if they're a client of ours, or I mean, even if they're on our list, but if they're listening to us from this podcast, I'd be more than happy to jump on a call with them once they've got some data coming back in, and then we can kind of tie back in the book process and their overall campaign of what they're trying to do in this outreach and try and link those two pieces together. So yeah, as you're listening to this, if you do go down the Lead Sherlock route, then absolutely let me know, because I'd be very interested to help kind
And
of
then,
ideate some of these things.
and the Lead Sherlock page is really simple. It's just a really simple landing page with a simple form to submit. And So we're going to beef it up. We're
Right.
in the process of beefing it up. But in the meantime, if you're curious at all, we can have a low key conversation if you submit the form, or just
Fantastic.
hit me up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that in the show notes and on the notes and the podcast players, there's the links to the websites and to your LinkedIn profile as well. And then the Ventive site as well. So Lead Sherlock is leadsherlock.co and Ventive is ventive.com. It's VNNTIVE, but we'll put links below. But those two tools together, I think there's as we've described Lead Sherlock, and the Ventive site is more built out, so there's more information there. But I just highly recommend everyone listening to think about the journey that we go on with the books to start these conversations, and now the tools
Right.
to join the conversations together in more of an orchestrated way than perhaps kind of manually trying to glue things together in a bit of a Rube Goldberg machine. This is a nice solution that is all in one place. Lydia,
It's it is. Thank you so much. Love having a conversation with you, Stuart. I'm so
yeah,
glad that we met.
I know,
Uh,
right? It's well, I mean, that we should share that with people as well. We met through, I think it was just a LinkedIn conversation that
yeah.
we were having through a third party. But if I would say that books aren't the product, the conversation's the product, and this idea of starting conversations in so many different ways. Yeah, I get so much outreach on LinkedIn, which is just generic stuff, but to be able to connect with someone and have a quick chat, it just
Yeah.
moves conversations like this forward. So again, that's another thing that I suggest people do more of.
Exactly. I have to say that I've met a lot of really delightful, smart people on LinkedIn where it sometimes it's just like Sure, let's have a conversation. Let's get
Right.
acquainted. And
Yeah.
uh, I definitely, I've spend my time on LinkedIn uh, versus networking groups and Zooms. Uh, I find LinkedIn a much more satisfying
Right.
experience all the way around in terms of in meeting business professionals.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to look back in a few years because you kind of think that it's almost a peak LinkedIn. What Twitter was never really my thing back in the day, but you'd hear people talk about the early days of Twitter and it really being like you're having a conversation with a
Ah,
group of friends that
it
before the trolls
was.
moved in. So LinkedIn definitely
It
seems
was.
like that in the moment. It's past that. It's no longer. I mean, I'm old, you can talk about the grey and the beard. I'm old enough as well to remember when it was really a kind of resume site and a resume site and not much else. But there really does seem to be now a peak of interesting conversations and touch wood, no trolls around or very, very few. So
Right.
yeah, it's the place to be.
Well, they get blocked really fast on
Right.
LinkedIn. Yeah, Twitter, I was really, really early and to the point where I felt like I almost connected with everybody there. It was that small and that, yeah, and I had over 10,000 followers and yeah, they blocked my account
Oh,
and they
seriously?
won't give it and they won't give
Uh,
it back.
so
Even
that as
though
well
even
as
huh?
I was just going to say that as well is a challenge as well, isn't it? I mean, it's another reason for being able to, we're talking about email and reach out to people directly, but there is something to be said for off-platforming people and making sure those connections live outside of just the one place, because God forbid if anything happens to that one place, it's impactful.
You
And
know,
there isn't a phone number that you can call up Twitter or LinkedIn or Elon or whoever else to say, hey, really, it's me.
um, but a big fan of Substack and Threads.
Right.
Substack particularly is great.
Yeah. And that's an interesting environment as well. Does Lead Sherlock work on Substack as well as a destination? I guess you can't put the required
No, you
code
have to.
onto the
eh,
Substack page.
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
You don't have access to that.
yeah, to put the details in. Yeah. But it's interesting pushing the boundaries of the thought process, kind of, okay, it does work,
Yeah,
it doesn't work there. Okay, so how can we move the audience to a place where it is trackable? I mean, that as an option as well. Can you put links in Substack? I'm a receiver of a number of Substack things, but I can't remember. I haven't posted there. Can you put links to external sources in Substack
sure.
posts? So,
Yeah,
I mean, that would be a way of doing it as well. If you were very active in that community and then you had the very clear next step or the carry on or the um, you put the shorter version there and then a longer version or a complementary version somewhere else. Lots of ways to push the edges of the system and then push people to the place that
right.
you own that you can then trace through. Yeah,
Well, and you can do that
so
on LinkedIn
interesting.
as well, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so because you don't want to publish the same thing in multiple places, it
Right.
can be different versions of
Yeah.
on a topic. Uh,
And even that from a context point of view. So having the same information, but just switching the context up. So it's a similar message, but just the context varies for the platform
mhm,
and the audience. That's an opportunity. I mean, we see it with the books as well. People have sometimes think about a be all and end all, a complete thing, whereas we're saying, no, this is a piece of the puzzle. And then there are other ways of widening the audience. So one classic example is people will say, oh, I've got a presentation that I deliver all the time. I just want to reuse that. Well, I mean, you could do, but it doesn't translate particularly well because the context changes. So instead,
mhm.
why don't we create something new here and then use this as supporting information and amplifying information to kind of move that story even further forward? So the same goes for LinkedIn posts and Substack posts and even tweets or X's or whatever we call it now.
Yeah, uh,
Um,
it'll always be Twitter to me.
if I, yeah, that block
How could you,
is
how could you, how could you replace a cute little bird a cute little blue bird with this menacing black X. It's just,
It's to prepare us all for the robots when they come and take over. So,
uh, well, Elon's working on that.
right, yeah, we'll circle back and talk about that next time. Um,
Okay.
Lydia, super glad to have made the connection in the first place and to be able to share this idea, because I think for the people that are thinking about it, just to dive in and understand what that data starts to give and the doors that it opens up. And again, as someone's listening to this from our audience and wants to do it, I'm more than happy to jump on a call with people
Oh,
and look at
I
ways.
I can't emphasize how much smarter I think how much smarter it is to use Lead Sherlock. Uh, I mean, again, people talk about creating target lists of your dream 100 or whatever, and using Zoom info or other resources to gather data about them. Well, guess what? We use Zoom info too to provide
Right.
info
The
on
background data.
it's through Lead Sherlock on contacts that have actually been on your website. So,
Right.
hey,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Get all that data, but now onto the ones who are actively raising their hand and visiting the sites. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, Such a great call. We'll definitely have to circle back in a few months down the track and kind of carry on the conversation. But in the meantime, everyone, I'll make sure that links through to Lydia's LinkedIn and then the two websites are in the show notes and in the show notes and on the podcast players. So just click straight through and keep me posted as well. Really interested to see how people are using it. Lydia,
Thank
thank
you
you for your
so
time.
much.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you. And we will catch everyone in the next one.
Yes, absolutely. Bye bye.